I'm Kenneth, a relationship coach and a psychotherapist. Every relationship is different and every breakup is different. Work with me and you'll get professional help on your situation. And if you're in no contact focused on personal growth, my Knowledge Workbook series and Creative Healing course can help you make changes like you've never made before. Available now at AskCraig.net. Hi there, I'm Coach Craig Kenneth, and in this video I'm going to be talking to you about stuck on my breakup from years ago. Breakups can be incredibly traumatic, and they can stay with us for years. You know, sometimes people can be cold and cruel and just say things like, just get over it. Just got to get over it. You got to move on. Sometimes shortly after the breakup. But you know, going through a breakup is a unique experience for us. And obviously, it's related to our history with trauma, family life, just who we are with our personalities, and how we saw that relationship or that person. So we can get stuck. And sometimes we're stuck on a breakup for many years. I'm always telling you guys and encouraging you guys to go into therapy. Looking at my creative healing course, especially, okay, if you're really stuck, there are so many different activities that are going to help you process the breakup. Homework, assignments, audio affirmations, art therapy activities, thousands of questions, whiteboard videos. Everything is going to enlighten you. It's going to teach you. It's going to help you process. And that will slowly get you through it, right? That's the right way to heal through a breakup, like doing the creative healing course, doing the workbooks, getting into therapy. If you don't, you may be stuck for a long time, okay? And I hate to say it, but it's true. And the more that you actively participate in what you can to grow and move forward, the more likely you're going to be in a great place as time goes by. And we have over 2,000 videos. So we put out a tremendous amount of advice that you can watch for free. Okay? But if you have the resources to get into therapy, to talk about it, it can be very therapeutic. Talk therapy works. I did a lot of research in art therapy. That's why I have art therapy activities in the creative healing course. It works. There's a lot of activities, particularly in the up front, that are about healing the breakup, processing the breakup. There's all kinds of stuff early in the course, especially about the breakup. And as you work through it, it gets you to a more and more confident place. So please do the work. And I've done it, okay? When I was going through my breakup, I was seeing Margaret twice a week, okay? And she was so amazing with me. A lot of times I would get to stay in there for a couple hours at a time. If she didn't have somebody directly after me and she had somebody a little while later, she just let me stay and talk with her. But, you know, we were like family too. So I was very lucky to have somebody so brilliant for so long teach me everything and talk about everything, talking about breakups and you know, family history and trauma and adoption, everything you can imagine. She knew about it. She read books on everything. She absolutely loved to read. And she would process these books in a way that she could break it down and teach you it better than the author did themselves. That's how brilliant she really was. So process is so important. If you have the means to do it, look into therapy. We're, of course, available for coaching, too. You know, please understand that myself, Victoria, we're therapists. Margaret was a clinician for over 40 years, and she was our supervisor and taught us a lot for years before I even launched a channel, okay? So this email coaching is tough. In fact, I had to read it like 3 times to really process everything, right? So obviously when we do a video call, I can ask you tons of questions and get clarity right away. But sometimes based on the way it's written, I have to read over it several times. So let's get into this one. They said, "Hi there. Thank you for taking the time to review my situation. I'm looking forward to your insight. I'm in my mid-30s and my ex is about 5 years older than me. This is a lesbian couple. We met in 2018 and started dating shortly after, probably just a few months in. The relationship moved quickly and we ended up living together for about a year and a half after we started dating. We were together on and off from 2018 to 2022. Over those 4 years, the relationship had a lot of ups and downs. There were stretches when things felt strong, and then periods of distance, disconnection, or conflict. We never had children. Two of the major issues in the relationship were intimacy and communication. There were challenges with physical and emotional closeness that often went unresolved. At the same time, we struggled to communicate in healthy ways, sometimes shutting down, sometimes saying too much in the heat of the moment, and rarely finding a balanced or productive way to express our deeper thoughts or needs. As for why we broke up, I take full accountability for the role I played. I was emotionally immature in many ways, and I could be controlling, reactive, and at times downright difficult. And the sad and tough thing about it is that we have natural consequences, right? You put your hand on the stove, you're going to get burned. You don't treat your partner well, they're going to leave, right? Controlling, reactive, downright difficult, it's going to lead to a breakup eventually. And, it's tough when we have to look ourselves in the mirror, but you got to do that work, okay? I also think we were simply incompatible in core areas. We had different values, different ways of dealing with problems, and we were often on different pages about what we wanted. Sounds like the anxious avoidant trap, right? While there was love and a strong connection at times, there was also confusion, tension, and instability. All sounds like the anxious avoidant trap. The highs were very high, but the lows could be exhausting. Over time, that pattern just wore us both down. I know there are probably more reasons I'm still processing, but overall, I recognize that the relationship was emotionally intense, often unhealthy, and not rooted in the kind of stability or mutual respect a long-term relationship needs. Okay, a lot going on here, right? My question is, why is she acting like she never knew me? Since the breakup, she hasn't reached out at all. Not even once. And I don't understand how someone I was so close to could act like I never existed. It's confusing and painful, and I'd really appreciate your insight into this kind of behavior. Thank you for your time and your guidance. Okay, so I don't know if you picked up on this, but they have not gotten back together since 2022. Okay? This breakup took place in 2022. So that threw me off because I was expecting that there was an update that they were on and off from 2022, but then they got back together at some point. But that is not the case. Okay? And what made it more confusing for me is where she says, I'm still processing. Okay? Remember, so this breakup is over 3 years now. And the very last thing she said is, why is she acting like she never knew me? Okay? That sounds like present tense. Think about it. Why is she acting like she never knew me? Okay, someone that's maybe a few months out of a breakup might say something like that, even 4 or 5, even 6 months. Why is she acting like she never knew me? But to say that 3 years later was really jarring for me. Like, whoa, wait a minute. Hold on. What's going on here? You broke up 3 years ago and your unconscious is still in the past. That's what my gut felt like as I read this. Her unconscious is still acting like this conflict is still going on. Okay, you don't word it like that, 3 years later. Why is she acting like she never knew me? Acting presently, right? That's something you might say, you're in an argument and you're like, why are you acting like this? You're not going to say, my ex and I haven't talked in 3 years. Why is she acting like this? Do you see what I'm saying? Her unconscious is stuck in the past. She has not processed it, and she even says it. My heart goes out to her. It's so painful. And, to see that she's still so stuck, like her unconscious is like ruminating constantly, like the connection is ongoing, like they're having contact, or like this situation was a lot more recent than what it was. And I said that to her. I let her know that, hey, I'm getting a feeling here like you haven't really processed this. You're kind of stuck in the past, and it's like you're still in 2022 relatively at the time of the breakup, and that you haven't moved on. And she actually sent me a little follow-up email, so I'm going to read that. She said, "Hi Craig, thank you for your response. Looking back, I realize I didn't do much work on myself after you and I talked. And you're right. I've been stuck in 2022. I didn't have the words to describe that until you said it. So thank you. I'm okay, but not okay. Writing this email has helped more than I expected. And the videos on your YouTube channel have really been helpful too. I think she and I were caught in the anxious avoidant trap, just as I said. And I'm starting to see much of a role that I played. I've been struggling to fully understand how my behavior affected her, but you're right, I need to. It's taken 3 years, but I'm finally at a place where I can let her go. I don't want to do any of the toxic behaviors I used to." Okay, let me pause right there. When we say things like this to our unconscious, I don't want to do any of the toxic behaviors I used to. All our unconscious hears is, do the toxic behaviors I used to. Okay? Think about it. You ever heard somebody say, I don't want to be like my dad? Okay? And then what happens? They wind up just like their dad. Because that's what your unconscious hears. There's no no's in the unconscious. Okay? Your unconscious is hearing, be like my dad. Do the toxic behaviors. That's why I'm saying, do the creative healing course. Do the workbooks. You got to sit down and you're going to replace the toxic stuff with the positive stuff, the effective strategies, the skills, the healing, the growth. It's going to replace it. Whether it was during or after the relationship, to try to keep her. I've accepted that my actions are what pushed her away for good, and now I want to get the help that I need. Not to win her back, but to grow and heal for myself. So this is a tough one because obviously being stuck on a breakup from years ago is very painful. And I truly empathize with you. It's not easy to work through a breakup, but you got to do your best. I don't know what her means are, if she can afford therapy, if she can make it a priority, if she can do the creative healing course or the workbooks. It would really help her a lot to process this breakup and move forward with a lot of new great skills that make her a lot more confident. Trauma can keep us stuck in the past. And, if you think about PTSD, right? Somebody goes through a traumatic event, but then what happens? In the present moment, they have flashbacks, right? But it's about being in that previous time where something overwhelming and stressful and tragic was going on, right? Maybe it was abuse, maybe it was war zone, who knows? It could be anything. Trauma could be anything. It could be car accident. It's whatever is overwhelming to one particular person. It could be a breakup. Breakups were traumatic for me as well, starting with my parents getting separated or divorced when I was 1.5 years old, watching both of them get married 3 times. So I understand, and those were the breakups of my parents, obviously. And I understand because once I started dating and having breakups in my own life, they were incredibly painful. And it's no doubt tied to what happened to me when I was small and didn't even have the word. At 1.5 years old, we're barely speaking, right? And that's when my trauma took place. If you're struggling with your breakup years after it happened, you're not alone. It happens to a lot of people. Do whatever you can to process it, to talk about it, to heal from it, and find peace within yourself, because we can't control another person. We have to allow them to come in and out of our life as they want, and that can be very difficult. But know that anytime we get into a relationship, we're risking heartbreak. So always remember that when you start to get into a new relationship. All right, so hopefully this one's been helpful to you. And of course, if you want to get my help personally, you could do that on my website, askcraig.net. I do email coaching and I do Zoom calls. You could also get my workbooks or my creative healing course only on the website. But that's it for this video. I'm Coach Craig Kenneth, and I will talk with you soon.